Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Dhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam Tam Ramakrishnam Sirsha Namaha. Namaste everyone and welcome to our Thursday evening's class on the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 13, which is called Ch13 Vibhaga Yoga. How to discriminate, differentiate between the knower and the known. The consciousness that's inside us, which illumines all our thoughts, activates our senses, makes the body functions to work, and all the processes that are happening in this body-mind complex. Behind that's a consciousness. So long that is there, everything works well. When that departs, then we have to get rid of this body. So that is the Kshetra. Anything other than that, the body-mind complex as well as the outside external world is called, that is called the Kshetrajna. The Kshetra is the field which is anything apart from the consciousness. And how to differentiate between the two so that we can disentangle ourselves from these embodiments and be that nameless, formless, pure consciousness, bodiless. Actually, we are no bodies. That is our true state. So we are studying this right now. I think this is the 8th class. And towards the end, I will show you how all these recordings are kept for you to retrieve and listen and watch them on our Vedanta website. Let us switch to our online class, and I'm sharing with you our tablet where all these verses are there so that I can draw some pictures and make it a bit more interesting. So we have been studying up to verse 10. In this, what is called knowledge, jnana, is being discussed. It started a little earlier, verses Amanitvam, Adamvitvam, Ahimsa, Shantirajavam, Archaryo, Upasanam, Saucham, Sthairyam, Atma, Vinigraha. Humility, modesty, non-violence, Titiksha, forbearance, sincerity, service to spiritual teachers, purity of thought, word, and deed, steadfastness in the pursuit of spiritual knowledge, control of the body and the senses. That's one of the part of the spiritual discipline. Non-attachment with regard to objects of the senses, because the mind is constantly drawn outside to the objects of the senses. We have to curtail them and ultimately turn it around, invert them so that we direct it inwards to see the real source of that light. Absence of egotism, reflection on the defects or evil inherent in birth, death, old age, disease. That is the samsara, this reflection that this is everything is temporary, this is not my real self. Somehow I've got caught in this body, mind complex. How do I disentangle myself? That type of reflection, constantly being mindful that everything is not set and good here. Things are, this human existence is a very curtailed, reduced version of our higher self. Really, we are the nameless, formless, ever pure being of nature of infinite existence, knowledge, bliss, purity, beauty. That should be the line of thinking. Somehow we have ended ourselves in this quandary and are getting born repeatedly, prisoners of this body, prisoners of the senses, prisoners of the mind. How do I free myself? That the idea should be there. If we do not awake ourselves to the idea of freedom, we'll never pursue that. So, and not only that, we are trapped in this body-mind complex. We have become so much attached to things and people and objects outside also. So, non-attachment and absence of fondness with regard to family members, material things like house. Know that they are there, take care of them, but do not extend out the tentacles to possess them. Otherwise, you get possessed by them. So being detached at the same time, doing your duties, no attached action. Constant equanimity of the mind. So the world is a world of duality. It swings between happiness and misery, life and death, success and failure. So while this pendulum is swinging, we should not swing along with that. The only way we can avoid that swinging is to climb to the top of where the pendulum is tied and watch and be the witness of everything happening around, but not being attached to it. That's where we enjoy that eternal peace. But the further we are away from that source, the more we will be whirled around by this world. So constant equanimity of the mind with regard to the attainment of desirable and the undesirable. And then comes Ch13 yogena bhakti vicharani vivikdesha sevitvam arati jana samsadi. So what to do? This mind that was going out constantly externally towards outside things, we turn it around and give it something more wonderful to contemplate on. And that is our own higher self, which is the Paramatma, which Sri Krishna says, I am the supreme soul residing in your own heart. Turn around and look at me. And when you see the inner beauty, the outer beauties or attractions will automatically fade away. You don't have to really make an tremendous effort to forcefully extract your mind away from them. It is like on a dark night, you see the stars, it's all beautiful. When the moon comes, the moon is so much beautiful that you stop staring at the stars, they become a little dim. But when the sun rises, even the moon pales away and the sun becomes the all captivating object of interest. Likewise, these external objects are interesting in the darkness of ignorance. When the light of knowledge comes from within, then you'll begin to enjoy your own spiritual company, the company of spiritual ideas, spiritual thoughts. And when that inner light, when the clouds of ignorance disappear and the sun of the light, Atman, shines within, then you don't have to really forcefully extract your mind away from the objects. The mind will not run after them. But in the beginning, we have to make that effort to do a U-turn. So unswerving devotion to me means the inner self, the Atman, with single-minded concentration. Inclination to repair into solitude. Now and then one has to go away from all this, our everyday engagements, activities, involvements, and free the mind from that to contemplate on some of the big questions of life, like where did I come from? Where am I going? What's the meaning and purpose of this life? Put those things as high priority and then contemplate, am I going to do about it? Am I doing enough of my spiritual practices? Am I trying to educate myself about the spiritual truths? And take a do a stock taking. So that is the purpose of Nirjan Vas, going into solitude. And when you do that, when you begin to like your own and enjoy your own company, the company of your own inner thoughts, then the natural thing is you will begin to lose taking delight in the crowd of people. Crowd of people represents people of all types of thoughts, ideas, and when you interact with them, we engage with them in different conversations or different activities, they all tend to draw the mind away. And most of the time you find that nothing really positive came out of the hours of engagement. Maybe you get some good company. You seek that because you do not enjoy your own company. But when you begin to like your own inner company, then we don't require that external crowds of people. You see the company of spiritual people where you have spiritual discussions. So we had discussed up to there. We take up to verse 13, verse 11. So this is the series of disciplines that we are asked to practice. That will, when it's practiced, it cleanses the mind, it dispels the darkness of ignorance, it awakens those good samskaras that we have been cultivating from many, many lifetimes. In this lifetime, brings them to the forefront. They all marshal up and come up to help you. And suddenly you begin to get what is called an interest in this subject matter. And you like it, enjoy it, and you want to dive deeper into it. So this discipline, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. Adhyatma means the spiritual knowledge. Jnana means knowledge. Nityatvam, always. So steadfastness in the knowledge of the Supreme Spirit. Normally, our mind is sort of constantly going out and seeking the knowledge of external objects. Whatever we see, we hear, we taste, we touch, we feel, and then all those experiences leave their samskaras in the mind. So even when those senses are not functioning, like you're alone in a room, those memories rise from the depths of your subconscious mind, and people enjoy that also, daydreaming or thinking very fondly of some experiences you had in the past, and then going on reliving those experiences. Sometimes they're good experiences, sometimes it's opposite. Some people had some painful experiences. Those experiences left some very deep impressions, and they tend to surface to the mind and make one miserable. So that those are the normal states of mind. We don't want to let that mind be, or the mind space be populated with those type of thoughts. What we want to do is give the mind something higher to think about. That's where the study of scriptures comes. Swadhyaya, spiritual company, where the conversations will be about spiritual topics. Get some books, read about that, but give something spiritual to the mind. And the best company is your own spiritual company, our own higher soul. What we call God is not some external being out there. Actually, he or she is our own higher self. The jiva is only a reflection of that supreme being. The example given by Sri Ramakrishna is that just like this sun, what you call the sun in the sky. So there's a beautiful sun in the sky, and on the ground there's a pot. There's some water in that pot. When the sunlight falls in there, on the surface it leaves. When you look from here, say, you see a little reflection of the sun, round, shining. And if the water is very steady, there are no waves, then you see a nice round, steady form of the sun. But if there are ripples and waves, then that image, the reflection is sort of shifting and changing also. So a clean, a steady mind, a quiet mind represents the water without any ripples. The other factor could be that if the water is very clean, then you get a very good reflection. But if the water is a bit brownish and muddy, that reflection is also not so clear. And if it's absolutely very muddy, the reflection is very, very dull. So this water is called buddhi plus the mind. And this pot is called the body. And so in this diagram, where are we? Okay, so this is the jiva, or the ego that says, I am. And this is the Paramatman. In between, sometimes you might have some clouds that might come also. And then the light, the reflection itself becomes dull also. So this is a representation of the, in this drawing, we can say the sun is the Ch13, the Supreme Spirit. And everything here in this cycle is the Kshetra, plus the external world of objects and people in the universe, material world. And at this junction point, how is the reflection formed? The reflection is possible when the light falls on that water. If you remove the pot, there is no reflection. If the sun is blocked totally, there's no reflection. These two coming together of Chit. So let us say Chit means the light. Chit is the light of consciousness. Plus matter which is the water. So it is jada. Jada means that is not sentient. It doesn't have its own consciousness. When the two come together, they produce what is called the ego, I sense, aham. So we all feel this aham bhava inside us. I am something. All right. But you say, what is that I? We know, we feel we are conscious, some light of intelligence is there, but I can't pinpoint it exactly where it is. It always mixes up because it's a product of the two. And say, I definitely feel a sense of I am. So I am, then something comes. I'm the subject and something else is the predicate in the sentence. So sometimes I feel I'm the body and you say, this is my 60th birthday, we must all celebrate it. Or I'm heavy or light or sick or healthy or young or old or male or female. Basically, we have transposed all the qualities of the body onto myself. Really, that body idea has now covered it. So, or sometimes it's the state of the mind. So that's a state of the mind is the fluctuations on the surface. And that might be, I'm happy, I'm not so happy, I know, I don't know, I'm confused. That is the qualities of the mind have been now superimposed on the Atman. And in this way, this I sense is constantly extroverted, means it's now always engaged in this way to the material world. What we want to do is restrain or turn or withdraw. So this is like mind is going out all the time. We want to turn that around. And turning around, we have to give it in this direction, turn it towards our inner self. That's the whole hard work that is in front of us in the process of sadhana. This tendency of the mind to go out constantly is something that has been practiced for so long, over many, many lifetimes. And this lifetime, that is, it goes out very forcefully. And so many in the early stages of spiritual practices, this yama and niyama, the do's and the don'ts are strongly prescribed. As you practice them sincerely over time, you begin to get some grip over the mind. That means the wild horses that were running without any control because the ropes were very loose, now you are beginning to pull the ropes, but you don't have all the muscular strength at that early stages. But as you keep on exercising and restraining the horses also begin to believe that there is somebody behind me who's controlling them and begin to get trained to go in the direction that we want to take them. But at some point, we want to totally stop the horses, and then the buddhi who's really controlling the horses, an example that we see of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in the chariot, then alone Sri Krishna, the buddhi turns around and has the conversation to the source that is there. So that is the real hard work in the sadhana, in the path of sadhana. The outward going tendency is called pravritti, and the return path is called nivritti. And one has to be very, very clear and always be very watchful. Which direction is the mind going? And you'll find that sometimes, most of the time, it's going towards the senses. Now and then, at the time of meditation, where you sit down for 10-15 minutes or half an hour in a quiet place, and you try to introvert the mind, visualize the presence of the divine in your own heart. Heart means at the depths of your being, it's a conscious entity. And it is possessed of all wonderful qualities that we are seeking outside, but now you're trying to educate your mind that is really present within us, that is the real source, and trying to get a little taste of that light and the joy and the peace that comes from within. And if you practice it sincerely over nityatvam, not only once in a while, in a few minutes, 108 times I have done my japa and I finished, not that way. As you begin to develop a taste for it, then you want to say, that was so nice. I meditated 15-20 minutes. My day went so peacefully. I was sort of grounded. Things were flying around me, but I was able to maintain my poise, my balance. This was really good. And if you say, hey, look, if that is a result of 15 minutes, if I made that half an hour, that would be even more profound. That means I have to get up a little earlier, that's all. But the impact of it is so much better. The day goes, the productivity of the mind, all that is so much superior if and better quality if I spend a little bit more time in meditation. But then you say, well, if I took it for another half an hour and really could train myself to sit down with great concentration and focus for 1 hour, it might not happen immediately, but that is the plan for this year. By the end of the year, or give some deadline to yourself, I will work on this and develop that capacity, and then let us see. So this is Adhyatma Jnana Nityatma. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Tattva means the truth, which is the higher self inside us. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Contemplation on the goal of the knowledge of reality. So you visualize in your mind, suppose I have this highest realization. What would be my state of mind? And to do that, you can reflect on or read about the lives and teachings of people who had realized that truth. And they're sharing their experiences with us, in which they say they have transcended this bondage of the body. They can feel that wonderful inner peace and bliss, the wonderful power of illumination of the mind, in which they can understand, grasp, and the subtlest of even the external world, but the most beautiful part of our being within us. They experience that inner beauty and purity. And as you think about them, then the mind at some point says, oh, I would like to have that. There's a little bit of spiritual marketing to yourself. No, whatever you see again and again, it leaves some impression. At some point, you will say, I would like to have that experience. And it's my own higher nature only. This is my divine birthright. I will have to work on this, if not now, in this next 5 years, lifetimes, whatever, 100 lifetimes, but that is the only the goal of human life. And there's no rest, no peace until that is achieved. If that is so, then why should I come and experience and suffer so much? Why not get working on the job of self-realization? That type of thinking will begin to come in your life, and you will then begin to give priority to that, put on the top of your list of things to do, and accordingly you will dedicate more time and effort to that. That's how we might say psych ourselves towards that spiritual goal. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. So this list of all these practices, Etat Jnanam Iti Proktam, all these is called or is spoken of as knowledge. This list of spiritual disciplines are to be practiced. So you make a list of them, if I were you, and say, and ask yourself, do I understand what these things mean? After studying this, you'll have some idea. Then you ask yourself your question, am I applying that? Or where can I apply that in my everyday life? And then put third column in the list and say, where would I like to see myself by the end of this year? How much clarity would be there about the real spiritual knowledge as described by Sri Krishna, which are the means to self-realization, and how much I am practicing. So then you have got a plan, a spiritual plan of action, and you have some yardsticks to measure your progress, and then you find that this study of the Gita is taking us in that particular direction. This is something that each one of us has to do ourselves. No one else can do this for us. If there are material things, then the family members can provide food, medicine, and clothing for us. If it's some intellectual knowledge, we can get from our teachers and learned people at the university also. But when it comes to spiritual knowledge, then some scriptures are there, some spiritual helps are there in form of the spiritual teacher who might give you the mantra to help you in the concentration of your mind on your chosen ideal and all that. But even if all those things are available to you, at the end of the day, your own mind has to be your own good friend who says, who understands that the highest truth is within us, not outside. And some effort out of the 24 hours has to be given to this spiritual pursuit and work for on that path of self-realization. In the first 7-8 verses, we discussed about the Kshetra, the field. In the field, a farmer will plant some seeds and harvest a crop. So that's the external field. The mind itself is the field, and it depends what you plant. On that will depend what is the crop that you'll harvest. If you plant too many seeds of the external world, then the world becomes a worldly mind, and it sort of comes up with fantastic ideas and discoveries and thoughts of how to do things in the external world. If in that same mind we plant spiritual seeds of spiritual ideas, which is what we're trying to do here now, then in time, in that mind itself, the plants of spiritual trees, these spiritual plants will begin to grow, and they too will yield their spiritual flowers and spiritual fruits. That is the Devi Sampatti, the divine qualities that begin to sprout in our own personality, in our mind, in our hearts. We have this a very clear buddhi, sharp buddhi that's able to discriminate between what is temporary and what is permanent, what is right and what is wrong. A heart that is sensitive and that feels its oneness with the whole universe and with all beings, and then it responds accordingly, enforcing that oneness. That's what called love and affection, kindness, compassion, charity, sacrifice. Underlying this is deep inside, we feel our oneness with everyone. That heart also begins to become very sensitive, and then they begin to guide us inwards. Those are the beautiful flowers that begin to grow on the plants of the mind and heart when spiritual knowledge is planted in them. So this is the birth, steadfastness in knowledge of the Supreme Spirit. It's not just like a little bit of it. Whatever you read or hear, that's called Shravan, listening. You have to listen again and again. And that's why we have tried to record these teachings and put it on our website, so that even when you're driving back and to work, you can listen at least for half an hour repeatedly. At least some of those ideas will begin to sink in. Steadfastness in the knowledge of the Supreme Spirit. Contemplation on the goal of the knowledge of reality. That the highest good that we can aim for ourselves personally is the realization of our own divine nature. That is our divine birthright. We are all spiritual children of the divine. Somehow we have become entangled in the cycle of birth and death. This is not our home. This is not the highest state of being. In this, there is so much ignorance, so much misery, so much suffering, and ultimately death comes and takes everything away from us. So that type of reflection, that spiritual reflection with the help of scriptures, that is Manan. Shravan, Manan. Manan means repeatedly thinking about them. And when you think about something again and again, each thought leaves its impressions in the mind. These are called samskaras. And when you keep on going over that cycle, those samskaras become stronger and stronger and stronger. That's why when children are learning something, we ask them to repeat them, memorize it, repeat it. As they keep on doing, after some time, it comes out effortlessly. So when you repeat an idea, whether it's a mantra or particular thought, a spiritual thought, we sharpen or strengthen or deepen the impression that is left of that thought or idea on our mind. And here we are trying to deliberately plant some spiritual ideas in our mind. So that is called Manan. And Nididhyasan is meditate on that idea. So Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan means you try to go to the wisdom or the knowledge that is embedded in that idea. For example, in this process, you put yourself or you ask in this way, Look, Sri Krishna is teaching Arjuna something with the help of these verses. Before he speaks out, he definitely has some idea in his head, which he encodes in this language of Sanskrit and speaks out. And Arjuna hears it, and he's supposed to replicate the inner meaning which is being conveyed through the vehicle of that language, whatever is spoken. So we should not just hang on to the words, but we want to say, what was the idea that was the head of Sri Krishna, which he was trying to convey to Arjuna using this means of communication. I want to get hold of that idea. I don't want to just live on these words. So meditation would be, the dhyasana would be trying to extract that knowledge and wisdom that is present in the words. Here we are taking help of Sanskrit. We made it simpler in English translation. I'm trying to explain that. But behind all these words that are there is wisdom. That is what nididhyasana would do. So you will take a particular idea and hold it to it. Let the whole mind be concentrated on it. It will be something like this. So normally, okay, in a dark night, okay, where did I lose something? Yeah, in a dark night, if you light a lamp, a candle or something, it lights a small area, maybe a meter of radius. Or it could be you take one of those torch lights and you take the batteries out and you connect, and there's a bulb up there, and then you put that switch, something like there, and it lights up there. So light is spread in all directions. But if you put a focusing element like we see in a torch, then what happens? The light does not go in all the directions, but it forms a beam in one direction. And so it did not create any additional light, but by focusing them in a particular direction, you'll be able to see maybe 10 meters in that direction. But when it was not focused, all that space was in darkness. So the mind that is scattered in all direction is like this disk. It's called Vikshipta Mana. Thoughts and ideas are going in all directions, like this candle. And the mind that is focused and concentrated during the time of meditation is like that light in one beam. But you can even make it even more intense, like a laser beam. Then you can point it to something maybe 100 meters, like you may put the small laser pointers. It can go so much further. So the secret of everything is the degree of this concentration of this mind. And that mind is a wonderful tool. It doesn't matter where we apply it. A scientist who applies in the research a concentrated mind, he discovers the mysteries of nature. Nature is ever ready to give away its knowledge, but we need to have the tools to receive them or to uncover them. And a concentrated mind is the most powerful tool. All great people who have contributed in any way significantly to the total sum of knowledge of mankind had this one wonderful quality. And some of them, it didn't happen just like that. They developed that capacity. In yoga and the Eastern approach to education, like Swami Vivekananda said, if I had to go through my education again, and had any say in the matter, I would first develop the concentration of mind and then apply that concentrated mind on any subject that I want to study. Not the other way. With a blunt mind, we are trying to mug up things, repeat. Yes, we can make some success through a lot of effort, but what if had a sharp mind and sharpen that first and then applied it? So knowledge will come with lesser effort. That would be the smart way to do that. So in nididhyasana, when we give ourselves some subject matter, some technical subjects, maybe a little bit difficult also, apart from getting that knowledge, another good output of such an exercise that it sharpens your own mind. And then that mind can be applied wherever. So sometimes people say, oh, this is very hard, Swamiji, I can't understand it and I give it up. Then if you give it up, then the mind doesn't develop that sharpness of capacity. So we have to give that challenge. And then the inner power center of the mind will begin to unfold. It's like going to a gymnasium Why do you want to lift some 30, 40 kgs? What's the fun out of it? Well, the whole fun is, the purpose is not that you come back and say, today I lifted 40 kgs and that's some great achievement. No, the actual purpose is, I'm giving a signal to the body that I need more muscles. I need to lift these heavy things. And the body responds by developing more muscle fibers, and slowly muscles begin to bulge up. Whether it's a proper equipment in the gym, or it is something a farmer is lifting stones or whatever in the field, the body responds to that exercise when it understands it needs to manifest greater strength. So likewise, we have to give some heavy lifting to the mind with the help of some abstract ideas, something deeply to think about. And if you keep on nurturing in that way, you'll discover that in time, the powers of the mind will begin to open up. The mind becomes more and more concentrated. And that's when you begin to enjoy having this wonderful tool of the mind and have that confidence, it's wonderful, I can do wonderful things with it. But if the light is scattered in all directions, then there's so much darkness all around. So that this of ideas that we have talked about, that is called knowledge. And etat jnanam iti proktam ajnanam tad tadetat anyatha. Ignorance is that which is other than this. So beyond this list of things, ignorance means the mind now is sort of going towards the material sense world, and not towards the inner side, not towards oneness, but towards the diversity. So another way to explain is this. Let us suppose, say, we have this bit of physics. We know all this. There's a little prism, and you shoot a beam of light, white light, it passes through that. On the other side, it breaks into a spectrum of various colors. So this is the consciousness side, or God side. That is the pure consciousness. Okay, this is white light. And this is the colors. Colors, of course, falling on a wall, you'll see them. And what are the colors? They are actually different frequencies of light. So all of them are present here, but you don't see them. So in a white light, you say there are no colors, but they're all present there, not differentiated. It's only when they spread out in this way, then you see the spectrum of colors. And what changes them, makes them spread out? This is what is called Maya, time, space, and causation. This is a triangle. When the light of consciousness passes through this triangle of Maya, it breaks into this world that we see. We see what we experience depending on where we are. Okay, so normally as embodied beings, we are in that range, and we see all these particular colors that are there. This could be the 7 lokas, and all that, different planes of existence, it might be. And it depends on where you are. According to that, what you see. Suppose you are an ant on this wall. If you are seated there, then you will see one color. If you go to another, climb up, this first color disappears, you are in the experience a different color. As you keep on going higher and higher, different planes of existence will open. So this is what the spiritual teachers, so yogis, they have mastered their mind to raise it to another different levels. But not only that, they are able to jump from that side to this side, go beyond Maya. These 3 layers, everything here is made of gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. 3 gunas, 3 gunas. The person who is able to jump on the other side from the phenomenal world to the absolute, okay, this is the relative, is called Trigunatita. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, that concept is also explained. A person is a realized person is one who is able to transcend all this Maya and relativity and experience this pure light of consciousness. And in that, he also realizes that pure being and the Jivatma and Paramatma are really that entity. This is what we are, in which we are the whole universe. Everything is contained inside us in an unmanifest form. And when we come on this side, then it all becomes differentiated. Differentiated means Prakriti. Prakriti, the translation is that which is differentiated. It has become manifold. So it is one here, has become many here. We experience them depending on where we are. And so in spiritual life, we want to disentangle our mind's engagement with all these things that is in this relative world, direct that attention inwards, seeking ultimately cross over Maya, and then realize I am that being eternal and immortal, never born, so it never dies. It's omniscient, there's no ignorance in it, it's full of bliss, there's no misery in it, it's changeless, so there's no birth and death in it, it's the abode of supreme peace. That is my divine birthright. We have to educate ourselves, remind ourselves again and again about our true identity. Otherwise, we are stuck in all these human identities, personalities, activities, and we are born there, we live there, we die there. So this is the sort of global picture. This is the realm of ignorance. This is the realm of knowledge. I hope that makes a little sense. So after describing all that, Shri Krishna says, I shall now speak of that which is to be known by realizing which one attains immortality. The Supreme Brahman is without any being. It's called neither being nor no being. Gyam yattat pravakshami yat jnatva amritam astate adimat param brahma nasat tannasat uchate. Pravakshami, I will speak, I shall speak to you. So before, as a good spiritual teacher, before he goes into the details, he says this is the subtopic. Okay, this is the subtopic. The next 10 or whatever minutes I'm going to discuss this. So Pravakshami, I shall speak that yet, which is to be known. To be known. So anytime something is to be taught and the student will ask, so what will happen if I get to know that? So the teacher also tells the result of that knowledge. By knowing which, yad jnatva asnute, one attains immortality. Okay, birthlessness, free from this idea of birth. And that is like trying to tell, this is the supreme goal. Something very profound will come out of this knowledge that I'm going to tell you. And when something is introduced like that, it captures the interest of the person. Oh, I should listen to this. It's very, very important. I want to attain that immortality. Like while we're reading it here now, and say somebody says, hey, here's the secret of becoming immortal. Immortal doesn't mean this body will last forever. That would be a very wrong understanding, an ignorant way of thinking about immortality, which we see in the Puranas. All these asuras, when they did tremendous amount of spiritual sadhana, and Lord Brahma or Vishnu appeared in front of them and offered them the boon, they would all ask for this, I want to be immortal, in the sense, I shall not die. And then they think, because their identity is so much fixed in their body, they think the idea was that this body shall not die. So then, like Hiranyakashipu says, neither man should be able to kill me, neither animal should be able to kill me, neither day or night. All these various conditions that could lead, or situations could be about death, they try to eliminate. But there's always some small little loophole that will be exploited, because nobody can live forever, whether it's a human being or an avatar, incarnation of God, Buddha, Christ. Their bodies will also go. That is the law of nature. But the Atman, it is always immortal. So attaining immortality doesn't mean that something we achieve something which we did not have. Attaining, so when we say attain something, normally the word attain itself means that something was given to us. I didn't have it, I received it, now it is in my possession. This immortality is not like that. Our soul is already immortal. So what is given to us, or what awakens, is the knowledge of that immortal. knowledge here doesn't mean conceptual knowledge. It is an experiential knowledge. We are studying the Pratyabhijna Hridayam, where we are coming across the concept, the difference between conceptual knowledge. Concept means ideas in the mind, and that can come through study, philosophy, discussion, and you might say a philosopher has all the knowledge. That doesn't make him a realized soul, it doesn't make him immortal also. It makes him a great philosopher and a pandit. What we want is that experiential knowledge. I want to feel that Atman. Feel means not also, it is, I want to experience, anubhuti, aproksha anubhuti, that's the word that's been coined out in Sanskrit. Anubhuti means experience. Paro aksha, aksha means eyes, para means somebody else. So if somebody has some experience, and he comes and tells me, and I listen, that is paroksha jnana. Aparoksha, no, it is my own experience. So it's not being reported through some books and teaching, some discussion. It is my own personal experience. I know honey not by listening to somebody, not by seeing it only, but I have tasted it. And you all know that after tasting, you can write a book and spend an hour talking about it. We can express it. So that is called experiential knowledge. This Atman is something like that. So what's the purpose of the studies and scriptures? It gives us some idea about this wonderful divine aspect of each one of us, enough to generate some serious interest for us to invest some time and effort to have that particular experience of our own higher self. And that experience can wait this lifetime. Or we can say, we'll take it easy. This world is good. It's not too bad. We'll come to this immortality and spirituality and self-realization later. If the outward going tendency of the mind is very, very strong, if the momentum is very, very high, if the horses are galloping away very fast, then yes, immediately you will not be able to turn around and realize that unless there's intense spiritual grace of the divine. But if we have been making some efforts from previous lifetimes, some of the good samskaras are already there, some spiritual capital is there, we can invest on that. And at some stage in life, when you experience certain things about the true nature of this world, how everything is so transitory, and how everything is so insignificant in this world, no matter how much we value it from outside, from the worldly perspective, social perspective, but ultimately everything is taken away by that one great event that happens at the end of life or death. And that's why death is a great teacher. It says, in one stroke, he says, everything is taken away from. Everything is a big zero. All the money has become demonetized. They don't have any value for you, type of thing. So, but we don't learn from that until that type of wisdom comes after many, many lifetimes about the transitory nature of this world, the valuelessness, the emptiness of everything. Then the soul turns around and seeks for something higher within itself. So that is the type of sort of orientation that we try to give to our mind. And Sri Krishna is going to now talk about that Atman. The language would become a little bit more difficult, because when we're talking about the external things, those are things of our experience, we can understand that. When the language of the spirit comes, which is beyond the grasp of the senses, eyes cannot see, ears cannot hear, the mind is also not able to grasp it, the dull mind, the mind with too much tamas and rajas that is there, then you will see there will be a little bit of a real struggle, and Sri Krishna will try in various ways to give some hint about that truth. And it depends on how much time and effort we try to put and try to grasp something. Not that by reading this will become enlightened, but we'll get a sense that there is some divine presence inside us, and a little bit about its qualities and its nature. So Sri Krishna says, I shall speak of that which is to be known, by realizing which one attains immortality. This is the real thing to be known, not the things that our mind really runs through internet or through whatever is coming out through TV and all the wonderful discoveries that man is making or artificial intelligence things are doing. What we want to go is within us and find that spiritual intelligence that manifests as human intelligence. That is more powerful than anything artificial intelligence that is somehow people find very, very fascinating, or this Ch13 and all those type of things there. But every time you invest your time and mental energy onto that, you deny yourself that spiritual intelligence or spiritual being that's within us. One has to be a bit careful because it's interesting, it's charming, it'll drag your mind out there more and more and more. You have to turn it around inwards. So the goal is told, by realizing which one attains immortality. And what is that? The Supreme Brahman is without any beginning. And so if it's without any beginning, it is without any end also. That means it's beyond time. So it's on the other side of the prism, trying here, it's beyond time, space, and causation. That is, this is talking about. The pure consciousness, the pure being, that is our true nature. We are little waves, so many waves in that infinite ocean. The ocean is eternal, on which waves arise and disappear. Bodies come and go, jivas come and disappear. But the ocean remains. It is without any beginning, it is without any end. That is called neither Sat, being, or Asat. Because the language that we are using here is designed to work at this physical material world in a mental world with the help of objects and corresponding thoughts there. And we put them all together, construct sentences, and communicate. This is the limitation of the language, or this is how the human language has been designed. This is the field of operation. But the mind has the spiritual dimension of it, the Atman or Paramatman, that is beyond the mind, beyond this kacha ami, or the what you call unripe mind, the impure mind. Impure means the mind that is filled with all these various ideas. So in this lake of the mind or this pond, if these waters are in waves because the wind is blowing through that, then even though that a sun is there, it comes here, but you will see a sun that is a caricature of the real sun. It looks like a shining thing, but it's shaking, moving this and that. That doesn't mean the sun up in the sky shaking and moving like that. No, there's a misrepresentation of it. And what is causing the misrepresentation? These thoughts and ideas, the states of the mind. This is what is creating them. While on the other side, as the mind becomes a little pure, the same sun is there. Here you'll see a very nice, round, good, steady reflection that you are seeing here. Okay, that's a concentrated, calm mind able to reflect in there. But you have to remember that this is not the real sun. The real sun is up there. This is only a representation of the sun in our mind. It's an appearance of the sun in the mind. But when the mind is calm, it gives a better representation, a better appearance. Okay, but that is not the reality. The actual sun is huge. It's full of light. It's full of heat. We receive a very insignificant, not even a fraction of it in this one at such a distance. But we say that is the sun. Actually, that's only a representation of the sun. So at some point when the sun, the water, the mind becomes calm and you get a good reflection, then we try to trace the source. Where is it coming from? And that's when the mind looks up. Then the view turns inwards and say, where is it coming from? And that's what we want to do. Right now, it's looking in that direction. So it's all about managing the mind, managing attention, understanding what is happening in the mind space, the thoughts that are coming in our mind space, how they're constructed, what are the energies that are feeding it from the senses, from the external world, from the memories that are rising to the surface up there. And we are busy with all this space during the day. From the moment we wake up, the time we go to sleep, we are just busy with this activity. The power that illuminates all that, the sun, that we are not paying attention to. We're not even asking who is that consciousness inside us that is making everything happen. And when that is disconnected, then everything becomes dark in here. Like that is the starting point of spirituality. And the pursuit of that knowledge through sadhana is what is called spiritual life, adhyatma, and the seeking of the higher truth, the truth of our own self. So now we have been introduced to the subject matter of what is Ch13, the knower of the field, the illuminator of the field, the illuminator of the ideas and thoughts in our mind space, the one that energizes the senses, eyes, ears, and they begin to function, the one that activates the various functions of the body. That what is that light of consciousness? If you're interested in that, this is the subject matter for the next few verses. So we'll stop here. I hope that gave some clarity. Just before I go, introduce you to something so that you can access that knowledge. Is it gone? So what I wanted to share was this website. So please put some new links there. This is in the menu called classes. There are two types of recordings there. One is Vedanta Drive Time. These are audio recordings of the classes that we are having, and they're all present there, and the videos are also there. So if you click on this, you'll go to this page, okay, which is, I think, already. Yeah, so you see audio lessons there, video lessons are there, and group study is there. Audio lessons are all listed. This is the video ones, this is the audio ones. You can listen to them, you can watch this, revise them. It would be Manan, and you can go into our study groups and you'll find Zoom recordings, your previous class recordings. But what I want you to like to do is get into this feed section, put your questions and answers so that we can have some discussions. If you study and think, some ideas will pop. If you put them here, I will have some time to read them, and then in the next class I can maybe take them up for discussion before we go forward, so that we don't have this monologue for too long. All right, let's end up with our offering to Sri Ramakrishna. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tassat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanastu.